Oh yeah. Oh
Chris, but
yeah.
God,
So our
you
our
gotta
pets
love it.
vegan?
So this is now I'm so glad because I'm gonna be honest. I thought that was the best conversation that's been had in our group chat. Like literally from the beginning to end. I don't think there's ever been one that's just been kind of like civil. Points have been declared. There's been a bit of maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
I think me and you had a great discussion. Cole weighed in with his own essay, which I thought was just wonderful.
And then Chris thought I was yelling at him.
And I was like, nah, bro, we're talking this out. We're trying to hash it out. It's a real question. It's a real question that I don't know the fucking answer to. My my take currently is that pets are vegan because I think the cornerstone of veganism is animal welfare, and as long as your pet is being treated fairly, they're okay with that.
So what is unfair about a cow that gets milked, a sheep that
Cow that
gets
gets
sheared?
milked, I think it genuinely depends on the welfare of the cow and whether or not the milking is legitimate.
Yeah.
Because
So
it is
most
worth mentioning that a lot of cows don't have to be milked for their entire life, but you give them the chemicals, you feed them the shit that makes them continue to milk.
so so there's a couple things with that. Well, a no, you just make them pregnant again, and usually how that happens is that at most dairy farms you just have a bull that runs around fucking every single fucking cow, and then you
Okay, I'm
separate.
gonna be honest, that does sound like poor animal welfare.
What? It's just having a bull do its natural thing.
Like constantly fuck the shit out of these cows so that they're in a
That's just how
constant
the
state
bull
of
acts. The bull
pregnancy.
just goes around fucking whichever cow it. That's just natural behavior. That's the same thing as the wild, right? A a,
Do you
a,
know enough
a
about
lion.
animal husbandry to confidently say that?
Well, it's the case
Because
for
I
anything
don't know
else.
if that's genuinely how it works.
So, how are dairy
Here
cows
we go. Bring it to fucking Google. Let's go, baby.
Sometimes they are forcibly
By the
impregnated,
way,
which
Steam
can be.
has relaunched, but because when I first looked into it, they said there was nothing wrong, it has uninstalled my games. So, don't worry. I mean, worry a little bit, because Elden Ring is going to take like another 2 days.
So we can have a different discussion on artificial insemination because sometimes that happens to keep production high, obviously. Duh.
Yeah, right? There's.
But another option instead of artificial insemination is to have a bull with a herd who impregnates the cows. The main reason why you do this is the option is because the risk of physical injury to the cows is significant. So your bull can kill your cows. So is that better or
Oh,
worse
okay.
for your well-being that your bull that is naturally impregnating everyone kills them, or is it better that you just artificially impregnate them? But all the bull does is literally just goes around grazing and just fucks like naturally. It's just all natural. However, like cows naturally fuck. This is what
Yeah,
happens.
and there you go. So they need to be pregnant to produce that milk. There's no way we can. I'm sure we feed them loads of shit to get more milk out of them, but
Yeah,
like
but what's the difference
as
between
far
that?
as how they
What's the difference
actually
between like
milk,
that and like grooming your like cat or dog or whatever to like look a specific way, or like
right?
or like
This is where it
you
is like
control where your dog pisses and shits, whereas like no farm animal is controlled where they piss and shit. They just shit and piss wherever the fuck they want. Um,
But like, do you genuinely? I get the impression these farm animals. I think the idea surrounding it is that because they are specifically used to provide food, in many cases their welfare is abhorrent, and that's why vegans
yeah,
are
but a lot
vegan
of
in the first
animals, a lot
place.
of pets' living conditions are abhorrent because people are shitty fucking pet owners, right?
So, but is the answer here that we stop having pets? Because I feel like a
Yeah,
vegan isn't concerned about dogs unless the dog is being abused, in which the vegan is like, yeah, obviously don't abuse dogs.
yeah, exactly. But so, and if that's the case, then there's a scenario where you can have a cow, you can have a chicken, you can have a sheep, and all of those aren't abused. They're just naturally taken care of.
Exactly, and
So you have a cow that naturally gets impregnated by the bull you have, and you have
yep,
well, you have 100 cows, and you have a bull that naturally impregnates all of those cows regularly, and you just
yep,
sell that milk. Oh, that's a
yeah.
vegan farm. Oh, that's a good percentage of our dairy farms in Canada.
So
And then what does the whole farm have to get shut down if they do artificial insemination just to keep up production? Is that where like things get bad? Because
yeah,
then
then you're
so
right. The
then
next
so then
question
it,
is where are we drawing
trimming your
lines on this
dog's
stuff?
nails, trimming your dog's nails forcibly, right, would be almost the same thing. Unless because you're gonna
Well,
like take this weird like addendum to be like, well, that's like forcible rape and oh my fucking like okay, well then
I
you
mean,
can't neuter your animals.
it's kind of difficult to say on behalf of veganism as a whole, for me, like I still eat eggs and drink milk because in general, now do I know that my eggs and milk are being farmed sustainably? Like,
Usually, if you
I'm
go to
pretty sure
grass-fed,
they're
you
not.
can. In Canada, like where I get my eggs, or where we get our eggs, you can go visit the fucking farm.
Okay,
It's
see,
just a
that's good.
bajillion
I
chickens
know
that just like
it's a
run
little
around.
bit. My selection here might be a little bit limited as I am smack dab center in Glasgow, and most of the
Yeah, yeah.
options I have for milk
And
dairy
that's
are
why I'm not
pretty
like
much
talking
like
broadly about all vegan,
yeah,
like because it's impossible, right? If you live, right, you can live in a neighborhood where every single person around you is abusing all their pets, and it's like, oh, okay, well, obviously no one in this fucking neighborhood should own pets. And you can also live in a city that gets all of its food imports from horrible dog shit. Oh, hi, buddy. From horrible dog shit, like um, horrible farms that just like
yeah,
borderline torture all their animals. But you
exactly.
can also find a ton of farms that don't do that.
And I think it's funny because for me, dogs are vegan because like if I have a dog, I'm not going to abuse it, and it will have a good quality of life.
Yeah, and you
Like
can have
there's
a
no
cow. That's the same
danger to
thing.
this. Yeah, and if I had
And a chicken.
cows, they would also be. Now I also wouldn't be eating my cows or chickens. They would exist to live, not exist to be consumed.
Yeah,
In
so then that's like a different
eventuality.
discussion because there's a lot of dairy cows get turned into food. Not a lot of chickens get turned into food. Well, no, they also probably get turned into food. Sheep might. Depends because
Well, I'm
you don't
sure.
a sheep don't really
Yeah,
stop producing wool. There's just a certain
no, they
section of sheep that you kill as
exactly.
food, right?
And eventually they must die of old age, and I don't know what the process there is.
Yeah. So then there's like we can have a different discussion on like the morality of killing an animal versus just letting it die naturally because technically something dying naturally could be more painful than it being just
Yeah,
like killed and
right.
used as
That's
food.
that's where like
And
and then you start having a conversation about euthanasia.
yeah, because then you can like get into weird stuff like
Probably
that.
a few two layers devolved from the original question.
Well, like not like super much, but yeah, you can do the same thing with humans. But the human example would be that like, oh, when you get old and get cancer, you have every right to kill yourself or like have a doctor kill you, right?
Yeah.
Because you're dying already. So like, because we have that, we can't really communicate that to animals. So we just have to make the better choice. And wouldn't it be the
Yeah.
better choice to just,
We are essentially the arbiter of their demise to some degree.
yeah. Which whatever. Anyways, that's not the point, because it's a totally different ethics discussion. What the hell are we
So
talking
my
about?
personal opinion is that as long as the dog is not, or even the animal is not being abused, it is vegan.
Yeah. So
Like
what's
I
up
almost
with
want to say that vegan is like, vegan is a moral lifestyle tied to a dietary requirement.
uh
Which is where it gets strange because it's like morally you can be in favor of having cows and making sure they're milked regularly and selling it. But from a dietary perspective, because for some reason they have to be married up, you also have people who are like, no, you should never do that under any circumstance. You can't eat animal products, even if they are legitimately farmed. Like, that's where I think this crosshatch between dietary requirements and moral and like an ethics belief system is where you're probably going to start getting confused.
yeah, maybe, but there's an easy way that you can be consistent. You can just say that it's really easy. If I was a vegan and I was like hardcore about like nope, no animal products can be consumed because it's not natural, then easy. Pets aren't vegan.
Yeah.
Like, that's the easy solution to that.
If you're, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're drawing lines
'Cause
in the sand.
Because yeah, it's just a really like easy line for me to draw if I was a vegan and be like, okay, hey, animal products consumption of any animal products isn't natural in any way. We should just let all cows like die off, or like just set them free, and if they die, they die, whatever. Like that's just like the natural way of things. Or we can figure out something where we can just like naturally like move them out of society. But if we're doing that, we have to do that with pets as well, because the life of a pet isn't natural in any fucking way. We
Oh,
breed
yeah,
them to be
no.
very specific. We like the bajillion things that we do to pets. And the only reason we're allowed to do them, quote unquote, is because they're cute
Yeah.
and because they seem happy or whatever. But it's like, yeah, a cow seems happy. I've seen fucking cows
Yeah.
like jumping around and being happy because they have a fucking new brush that their
Or
farmer
if they
put
have
in.
if they have a good life.
Yeah,
Like, I'm genuinely completely unbothered as long as the animal has a good life and it isn't, essentially in a state of torture due to its ownership.
yeah.
And as long as that's the case, then like, yeah, you're not gonna see me complain.
hmm
From an ethics perspective, that's all I care about. And I think veganism is a way to take a stand against how animal products are obtained on like a wider scale, because I believe that the majority of how animal products are farmed are probably pretty disgusting.
Yeah. And if that's like the take, then like if that's what you want to call yourself as a vegan, that's fine. But it seems like a lot of
It's
vegans
like
are just like,
PETA being the most annoying. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, someone has to be there. It's a spectrum, and someone's going to be at the fucking end, and it's PETA.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, if that's like your take, then I have no problem with like whoever that is to call themselves a vegan, whatever. But it just seems like a lot of vegans are like, no animal products, period. And it's like, well, what about pets? Like, you own a dog, and you're like, well, my dog is happy. It's like, well, why can't you say that about a cat, a cow, or a
Cow,
sheep?
yeah. If the cow is
chicken.
happy,
How can you
like
tell if a
chicken
cow's happy?
specifically, those bitches straight up just be laying eggs.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Like,
it's
if
like
you don't eat it, it just goes back into the carbon cycle. Like,
Yeah.
you're not. There's
like
nothing
it's not like
crazy
you have,
going
and you
on.
don't even have to do anything, like because there's still an
You don't
argument.
have to do shit. They just produce those motherfuckers.
Yeah, they just and then like the weird like the actual like some okay, this is probably fringe as fuck, but the only vegan argument I've heard against that is like, well, those eggs could be fertile, like fertile eggs, and they're not. It's like, okay, dumb fuck.
Okay, well, let's just make sure the rooster fucks every one of them on a
Yeah.
razor tight scale.
And at the same time, it's like,
What the
okay, what
fuck?
about you know humans pass eggs in the same way, right? They're just not
Yeah,
fucking
it's literally
humongous.
up here. I know.
So are we just gonna forcibly inseminate every female so that every single fucking egg that they have is perfectly preserved? Like, okay, because it could be.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But
You've
I know
completely
that point is a little bit
Now you are a
funny.
recusant truth. This is your-
They're like, oh, but it's like
Now
those
for
could
the
be
way
real
is
live
tainted.
chicks. It's like, but now
It is
you
the
have
true
to like
path.
forcibly fuck every one of your
Now you are a
chickens.
recusant
We're not talking about
being.
welfare anymore. You're talking about like efficiency. That's the weird fucking conversation.
sorry, about what? Say that again.
I was like,
Sometimes.
well, if you're talking about like you need to the roost, like every egg cannot be wasted. You're literally
Yeah.
just having a conversation about like efficiency of reproduction, and that's not what you're here for. It's welfare. Don't make this a weird conversation.
Yeah, especially considering like. What's weird? Why is this guy telling me?
You've blooded you. Then I shall introduce myself. Banal. Recusants have particular battle arts, styled to our
Cam
method.
shows.
Why not
You
add
know your
some
boy
to
is
your
playing Honeycam Studio.
Okay, but so he doesn't like that I'm doing this, but will sell me stuff. Okay, I don't care anymore. Anyways, what was I saying? Fuck.
Nothing about pets being vegan as long as they're happy. I
Oh no. It was about. I don't remember. Well, fuck.
well, there it goes.
It's gone.
Chickens? They lay eggs automatically?
Chickens lay eggs automatically. Sheep need to be sheared. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was saying.
Have any strange something beyond the walls?
And I think
Fine,
the
it just
the
isn't
kind of like hilariously, maybe not hilariously, but the shitty thing about it is that like these animals need to live this way because like we just made them that way.
Yeah, exactly. And so like,
Like
if you wanna,
we're kind of at a point of no return.
yeah, exactly. So like, if your argument is like, oh, okay, we just have to slowly phase out animals, like cows and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. But you also have to phase out pets because pets are the way they are right now because of solely us.
Exactly. I would say the phasing out of animal consumption is where my tastes lie specifically. So having animals for reasons like eggs, milk, like yeah, I got no problem. But if it's bred to exist to die to feed people, like, and even then I'm still okay with it, but it's got to be under like better circumstances.
so now the
99% of the time in that case, that animal is in a fucking cage and it is literally its existence is torture, and it's like okay, I
Yeah.
cannot get behind that.
So
It's
so
fucking
considering,
wrong.
I think we agree that either A, pets aren't vegan, or B, eggs, milk, and wool can be vegan.
Yeah.
Then the new question is, what to do about death? So basically, what I'm saying is that like a lot of dairy cows, when they stop producing, or at a predetermined time,
Yeah,
farmers will
they're
kill them because like, well, now you're not producing anything, so I'll just use you as meat instead.
Yeah.
So the question is like, is that? It's impossible for you to say that's vegan, obviously. But like, what would be wrong with that, basically? What is the
I
is
think
the
that
quarry?
the animal should probably die under more legitimate terms. As
More
in, like,
natural terms?
it is at a point where it can no longer live happily. It either dies naturally, or it's at a point where its existence has re-entered a state of torture. In which case, you as the human has, if you're owning it, I would say it's your duty to ensure that its death is not like a complete fucking tragedy. Like with pets. Imagine it with pets. The same situation. Your pet eventually reaches an age where it's just old as fuck and it's probably living in an awful state of life. So you put that fucker down. You don't eat it as soon as it stops like being cute. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Ow, fucking bastard.
Because that kind of is the situation like, oh, you don't produce milk anymore. Well, I'm just gonna kill you. It's like, well, that's not really.
Yeah.
That's not really what we're looking for here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm tended to agree. It's just like it becomes a weird like sticky ground of like.
Oh yeah, you're into.
Well, it's just because it's like, how do you, like, in our current society, like obviously like once a cow stops producing, it's like completely fucking useless in any other regard.
Yeah, legit. It's just an animal.
So it's like very tough to be like, yeah, all farmers just keep your cows until they die naturally. Don't do anything else with them.
Just phase out the consumption of meat, because there would be a certain point where it's like, okay, your cow doesn't do anything anymore. And
Oh no, what I'm saying is that even if the consumption of meat was phased out, what would happen is that you would have dairy because it costs money
oh yeah, cows
and resources
that can't produce dairy anymore. What do we do with them?
to keep up.
You
So once
know?
they stop producing, you just fucking gat them in the head.
Like, that's obviously not the answer. Like, you do raise a good point. You're never.
So
gonna
like,
be able to convince a
is it
company to
better
just keep
to
that
consume
fucker
them as
alive.
meat because it's still using and respecting the animal in a sense, if you
I
want to
don't
call
know
it
if
that.
I'd say it's respecting me.
Well, the Native
but
Americans
it's
would
certainly
say it's
making
respecting.
use of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Native Americans would say that it's respecting the animal. Okay, so.
I guess yeah. You could also say that there's probably a.
But yeah, so it's it's like a weird thing where it's like, okay, so cows are only used to produce milk, and once they stop producing milk, what the fuck do we do with them? Now, there's a good chance that you can probably maybe just let them, if they're grazing cows that are just like grass-fed grazing cows, there's a chance you can maybe just let them live on until they die, because I'm not sure if they really disturb much of the farm, but there'd have to be some probable like major subsidies or like some tricky stuff going on, because there'll be dips and there'll be like highs and lows of milk production because you'll have a bunch of old cows and a bunch of young cows.
Yeah. Or is the answer that monetarily milk just
see
has
you
to be
performed
so
another
expensive
task
because we
for us.
also have to pay for these cows in their end of life phase?
Potentially, but
Now,
yeah.
Perhaps the time has come to tell
Because
of
it's
the
like,
true
well, if
owner
you
of
want to
this
have,
manor, the
if you want
Erd
to
tree
have
blessed the
ethical
tarnished
milk,
with grace.
you
But it
also
was
have to
all too
pay
meager in
more,
the face of the
because
enormity of
fuck
the
it,
tarnished
when
were
that cow
forced
stops
to
making milk,
scavenge,
we have to care for it until
like
it
the
dies.
shroud
It
of
needs to go
Earth
into cow
vying for
retirement.
power
Like,
in
I have
the
to
wake
pay
of
for
the
cow
Shower
retirement.
Lord, indignant, has refused. Discouraged if the Earth Tree, and indeed
Do
the
I
very
personally want to pay
gods,
for cow
then we are
Actually,
willing
I'd be
to
fine
raise
if my
the
milk was
arena of
super
the
expensive,
volcano
but they
running
like sent me
under
photos of the
Lord
cows and
Iconic.
What is it? A fucking
personally, I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, oh my god, look. Oh, I remember when she used to produce milk.
It cannot come at
yeah.
Now
So
she's just in cow retirement.
yeah. So like, it's an interesting thing about cows because like it's kind of hard to.
Someone please kill him. That horrendous.
I mean, we could also, yeah, you're right. But then there's this other question, which is like on a much more, maybe moral ground. If we're not producing more of these animals, like, so let's just say we stop making milk. A lot of cows are just gonna die. Like, where are they gonna go? Like, we have so many of them. It's not like we can just set them off into the wild. Like, they're fucking cows, bro.
But they were reduced to gluttonous depravity.
Okay, I see what's going on.
Someone to spare him.
I am making a
Were
lot of
the tarnished. It is
What's
the
the-
only brand.
disappoint your parents. Complete a game session without dropping below 5 cigarettes or drinks. I'm gonna try to not drop below 20 because I know I'm gonna fuck this up eventually.
Oh, there's a lizard man here. What the fuck?
I love Lizard Man.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what's
I
happening.
don't know if there's anything else I'm gonna say about that. I think it's pretty much done. I think you've said enough about it.
5 girls can be employed at once. No, I think that's a pretty general. Like we had a dietitian come in. Like we paid for one of them to do like a webinar at our office. She was a great, like absolutely great host as well. And her thing was someone was like, well, as a dietitian, what's your opinion on veganism? And she's like, look, it's a moral decision. It's not a dietary one. She's like, if it was up to me, I would suggest from a purely dietary perspective, no one be vegan. It's not a balanced diet. It's not easy. Like, you have to find a lot of alternatives in order to get, like, the correct nutrients and stuff. She's like, but that's not why you're vegan. You're not vegan because you really can't be eating eggs or milk or anything. It's probably for a different reason, which is, like, you don't think animals should be used for produce. I was like, this is great because, yeah, there is a crossover between diet and morals, and it becomes, like, upholding morals through diet, which isn't... I don't think that's really like a great way to do it in the first place anyways. So that's why it gets confusing. And that's why you can ask questions like, are dogs vegan? And there isn't an answer. It's like, well, fuck, I don't know. So,
Ow! Yeah. Yeah.
it's a photo shoot. Okay, so... Okay, then. Just as long as she doesn't fuck anything up. So, who's my... I just need to complete the game. Oh, and done. So she's making the money. She's buying the cigarettes. Okay, she's going to... No, you're too stressed out. Well, then someone
Fuck
else
you.
has to buy the fucking cigarettes.
Stupid slug thing. Oh.
Is it one of the snails? I like those
Yeah.
guys. They're kind of fun. So
The real question is will I ever use apparently this wall right here is actually a fake wall. It just has a million health bar.
Let's see. Oh, I fucking saw that today. What a... Okay. WHY.
Well, it's because it's a dev. It was probably an invisible wall at some point, and they just
Oh.
fixed it. They fixed it by instead of putting a real wall in the game, they just made it have a bajillion health.
So it used to be like a dev tool, we're assuming.
Yeah,
And
there's a
probably
couple
they
other
walked
walls that
around
are
in,
like that.
Some god or whatever, and then
Yeah,
whack this.
like you can throw stuff through it. I don't know if you can throw stuff through this wall. I think this might be
Oh.
it, but I could be
Roll
swinging the
it
whole
back
wrong
up.
way.
I mean, let's see if it looks like the one I remember seeing.
I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does look like it.
Like, let's see if I can throw
stuff
stuff through it. That might be the best. I don't know what I can throw.
I'm sure you've got loads. Don't worry.
I don't think I do. Oh,
Type of shit
glass
is
stuff.
everywhere.
Can I not?
And then I'm supposed to do this without escorting is the other thing. Okay.
Yeah, I actually can't do it because I don't have it.
Wait, is that oh, I'm trying to get some achievements here. Earn the gold trophy without escorting. And that's 10,000? I mean, that's achievable, to be honest. That's achievable.
Oh, you can't throw stuff through the wall. Maybe it's not. Oh, there is somebody punching this wall though. Anyways, I don't really care.
You and fucking everyone else. So really, they just what? You gotta keep punching it?
Yeah, I don't really care that much.
Yeah, basically, bud. And also, no, you don't have to. You can just not engage with it. It'll be fine. You can look it up on YouTube or something. Get out of the fucking day spa right now.
Oh, strong foe ahead? Yeah, okay, buddy. I fucking murdered it.
I love when I used to see strong foe ahead and I'd fucking murk it instantly. I was like, yeah, maybe for you, little pussy. Huge.
Didn't
dick
the next time was didn't expect weak foe.
yeah. Shit on that guy who said it was tough. He's obviously an idiot. I don't like him.
You know what's funny is the chests in this game don't look anything like mimic chests at all, but I still swing at them as if they're.
Oh, dude, I don't even know if mimics are in the fucking game, but I'm still swinging.
There was one chest that looked like a mimic that had the chain and everything. I was like, is this gonna be a mimic? I swung at it. It wasn't a mimic.
You're like, Okay, I need to start making some money.
Where the fuck is this?
The fucking hole.
Oh, am I about to go to a boss fight accidentally? I see this statue of Manika. Manika! Oh, 100% it is. It's just there's a missing drawbridge though.
I'm sorry, running out of fucking money.
God, I wasted my time there. Oh, there's these videos I'm watching. I think you heard a little bit at the start, and I swear to God, they're fake. Anytime I hear a story that's like that, the story starts up with something along the lines of like, this person took on this multi-billion-dollar company and won. It's like, well, which company? And they never mention the company. I automatically assume it's fake.
Good clickbait.
Automatically. So this one is like, this small machine shop took on a big, publicly traded, $60 billion company. It's like, so it's not real, is what you're saying. Because if this company actually did bad things, you should want to call them out. Because they're a bad
and
company.
forth with him trying to get paid for the work that we had already done, but he really wasn't getting anywhere because to them, we were just
Oh, is
tiny
it
and
like one of those,
insignificant.
like,
But whenever he told them, you
inspirational
know,
music
I'm sorry, you're way too
type-
quiet for me to be playing the video at the same time. What?
I'm right here. Is it like an inspirational music in the background type beat?
No.
And they're like,
It's just one of those things where it's like, it's just like supposed to be a feel-good story or whatever, but it's like kind
Oh.
of clearly bullshit.
you know what I've been feeling that about recently? And I don't know if I
Tarnished.
should call.
Hold on, there's a lizard
What
talking to
is
me.
your
Give me a second.
business here?
And she
I'm
sounds like...
afraid this is
I don't-
not a
Nah, just
guest room.
regular shit. Just a lizard
What's
talking
that
to me. What was that?
look upon your face?
How does she? Oh, she's got. Oh my God,
Am
I've
I
been
still
doing
a
this so
serpent?
wrong.
Oh, how dreadful! How dreadful! Forgive. I ought to be thanking you for
Get
treating
her
me
out
as
the photo
usual.
shoot.
Brave Tarnished, this
Get her
is my
into the
true
cave, maybe.
form. Please forgive the do understand. Lady Tanith speaks no falsehoods, and the Volcano Manor is. Lady I am told I was that my mother cherished. I am proud, but people are cruel. If they saw my true form, and so I assume a guise. But you are not like my serpentine form, and then the secrets. Known only now I share the secrets with. Please keep them safe. My serpentine a secret now I share the secrets.
what were you saying?
Keep them safe.
You know the dodo?
yeah?
Do you know who they are?
Yeah.
The inspirational animal stories.
Uh-huh.
I've been sniffing shit at quite a few of those recently. And I genuinely think these people will adopt a dog that looks like it's in bad health, and before they go on with their like beautiful life with this dog, they will like legitimately leave it in a field and stage the video. Like, I just don't believe some of this shit. I just don't believe. They're like, this road in the middle of nowhere, and we found this dog in like an abandoned car. I was like, no, you didn't. That's not a thing that happened. I literally just don't fucking believe you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you would do that, but like, I think you're fucking doing it. There's no way. Like, some of them are just so ridiculous. I'm like, look, I really don't want to say that you're making this up, because that would be fucking wild. If you bought this animal just, and you were like, you know what?
They are.
There's a quick thing that I could do, which is put this dog in a fucking field and pretend like we're like coming up to save it. because it's like perfectly filmed and everything. I'm like, no, it's not. You're fucking making this up.
Yeah. It's like the same. I don't know if you have my stream open, but just listen to the video. Like I'll replay from the beginning.
Let me lower my music.
Ow. Ow.
Boost yours. So you just get the shit kicked out of you, to be honest.
What? I thought I was supposed to regenerate health. Alright, regenerating like 2 HP? Successive attacks restore HP. What the fuck does that mean? There's not restore HP on my horse? Did you have my stream open?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start. It's really not that. But like, listen to the very beginning of this, and it's like, tell me it's not bullshit.
One of the customers we had at the first shop I worked at was this huge publicly traded company that was worth about $60 billion at the time. We did so much work for this company that
We work for this publicly traded company worth $60 billion. Okay. What's the company?
60 billion. Fuck me.
Yeah, and like, what's the
Maybe?
company? All I want to know is, what's the company?
Oh my god! It's a
Yeah.
big skeleton.
I think he spawns because of this death bell guy that was somewhere over here. I don't remember.
Damn, that is a big skeleton. That was cool.
I forget why he spawns. It's usually the sign of like a, you know, the guy that like
I
rides a
love-
boat.
Oh, yeah. That you have to, like, very early in the game you kill one.
Something like that.
I really like the Beast Man, but not the Beast Man with the big sword because I haven't met him yet, so, like, I don't know what he does, but... You know, like, the guy in the weird cloak, and he gives you, like, the faith spells?
Wait, what? Do you mean the half wolf guy? Blade?
No, because the half-wolf guy has, like, the huge sword, and he's really cool, even though I have yet to meet him. Because I don't know how. I should search it up.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really? Well, like the guy who gives you the bestial stone throw thing, you know? D tells you to go to him. Wait. Is
Oh,
it-
that guy I never met. I just went to where he was supposed to be.
Oh, really? Okay.
I like did it backwards accidentally. I was like, oh.
Because I went to. He gives you like a spell which you like throw a few stones. Like that's the faith spell.
Yeah.
But I get the impression it's gonna be a lot more beast stuff, and I found that shit to be very fun. So.
Okay. Kill the skeleton. What the hell is that? Oh.
Guys, we are not.
I'm not in Kansas anymore.
Fuck, I'm in Florida. It's just Caleb.
It's never just Caitlin.
I've been there. I've only like just started to explore it, but it's not that bad so far.
Oh no! Usually what it is because one of the early areas, you open a chest and you get teleported into some crystal cave, and then you walk out into that godforsaken place, and you're way too under leveled for
mean,
it.
I've already been through that shit. I didn't think it was that abusive.
Yeah, I didn't
Just
think it
kinda
was like super
sprint.
abusive either. It's
You
just one of those things.
sprint to the next site of grace. Like
Yeah.
you don't fuck around there. People are like, these guys are so tough. I'm like, yeah, because you're not supposed to be here. Go home.
Yeah, leave. Yeah.
You're just not supposed to be there, so don't. Like literally just leave.
Anyways, I'm gonna continue playing the video. We'll see how bullshit the
two of
story
our
is.
3 buildings were dedicated just to them. For years, we produced production parts for this company, and we always bent over backwards and did everything we could to make them happy. But what's the point in keeping such a big customer if they're letting you go broke? And at what point do you say enough is enough and stop letting them take advantage of you? For their owner of this shop, it was whenever they owed him over $300,000 and was making every excuse not to pay him. This customer had 3 different manufacturing facilities close to our shop. One of them was an extrusion plant that made things like hydraulic fittings for the product that they manufactured, and we supplied all the blanks for that location. We had 5 CNC lathes with bar loaders to supply the parts that needed to be turned and drilled, and we had 8 CNC cold saws that would saw hundreds of thousands of blanks for each order. On top of the machining, they would use our parking lot to store their raw material, which came in bundles of 25 20-foot long bar stock. They also used our warehouse to store finished blanks until they got ready for them later down the road. We were housing about $2 million worth of their product and material at our facility, and the owner had been going back and forth with them trying to get paid for the work that we had already done, but he really wasn't getting anywhere because
you
to
sue
them,
him.
we were just tiny and insignificant. But whenever he told them, you know, if I took all of your material and all of your parts that I'm holding at my facility to the scrap yard, I bet I could get more than what you currently owe me. You better believe that got their attention, because that's when they realized that we could completely shut down one of their locations.
Okay, that's also dumb as fuck. I don't know how the fuck this motherfucker's running a shop, but most of the material that you have that you're about to go make scrap out of, you bought. That's how production works. You bought the scrap material you're going to turn into parts. So you can't sell that. Well, you can sell that. You're just not going to... You're going to lose money on it. Your own money.
Yeah. So, I don't know if they're going to fight them. I think they're just like, you have to pay us.
So the company will just take an L because they just lost like you as a customer,
Yeah.
but they can just find a new customer because they're not really at risk that much because they didn't. You're the one buying the material. They're buying the parts off of you once you've made them. That's what the contract is. So if you just I think you can get fucked by doing that
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be the best
because
decision.
there's probably a contract that you're breaking by doing that.
But they're also breaking in some breach of a contract. I think he's just trying to say like, yo, dude, if we want this to get messy,
Yeah, we can
sell
make
you
this. I think that's what they're
like-
saying too. But selling all of the whatever, and now maybe all of the parts that are just sitting in there. I don't know why you have a bajillion parts just sitting in your shop. Are they waiting for them to be shipped?
Yeah, I think that's the story. Like they just like something was up with their supply chain, so they ended up just also being a warehouse for these guys for like no fucking reason.
For zero reason, which I highly doubt, but maybe.
No, I could see it happening. Like if you're a big company that owns a bunch of like little smaller supply places and like you're just not set up right, I could totally see that like
You're a
it's not
$60 billion company and you can't have and you don't have storage.
Bro, I mean, I don't have that much experience, but I've seen my places in my company that are quite large, and it's like I've seen things where they're like, why is there so much shit here? And they're like, oh well, they've just never done anything with it. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but is that just like is that just one location, or is that a $60 billion publicly traded fucking company?
Well, but these guys aren't 60 billion. They're being
Exactly.
hired by a company that's worth 60 billion.
Exactly, yeah, but that $60 billion company is buying parts off of them. So why would they just be like, hey, contractor,
Hey, I
just
don't
keep all of
even
our
know.
parts
I
there as a
actually don't know.
warehouse?
I don't know if they've really told us the relationship. I don't.
They did. We'll go back again.
They're making
Thousands
the
of
parts for them?
blanks for each order. $100,000 parts for this company, and we always bent over backwards and did everything we could to make them happy. But what's the point in keeping such a big customer if they're letting you go broke? And at what point do you say enough is enough and stop letting them take advantage of you? For their owner of this shop, it was whenever they owed him over $300,000 and was making every excuse not to pay him. This customer had 3 different manufacturing facilities close to our shop. One of them was an extrusion plant that made things like hydraulic fittings for the product that they manufactured, and we supplied all the blanks for that location. We had 5 CNC lathes with bar loaders to supply the parts that
Alright, you see what he's saying? So basically, they made a bunch of parts for other shops that they had, I guess. Is the story? And they own $300,000. But you don't have. Let me just.
that needed to be turned and drilled, and we had 8 CNC cold saws that would saw hundreds of thousands of blanks for each order. On top of
Yeah. Okay. So those blanks that he's talking about, what that means, Rory, because you're not in the biz.
I literally am not.
A blank is just a piece of steel
Oh, okay.
that is being weighted, that hasn't been like cut into like a part yet. So like, I don't know what you would have nearby that's like a piece of fucking metal that would be machined, but
Whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, like let's say you're making,
just have
let's say
them
you're
split up.
making chess pieces out of steel. You want to like make a cool like chess piece set. When you're cutting off the bar stock and you have these like chunks of steel, those are called blanks, and then you turn those blanks on a lathe or you mill them or whatever into chess pieces. So blanks are just hunks of steel, and most shops that hunk of steel that they have, those blanks, the shop in themselves buys that. The customer buys the finished product off them, which usually is more than the stock you bought, because that's like the whole point. It's not like if I'm a factory that makes chairs, I'm not paying for the trees to be cut. I'm paying for the lumber from the people who cut the trees. Yeah, anyways.
For the machining, they would use our parking lot to store their raw material, which came in bundles of 20-foot long bar stock. They also...
Okay, so yeah, so this is where the storage thing comes in. Apparently they were using this shop's parking lot as storage for their bar stock, which I don't know why a $60 billion company is buying material to then ship to a shop. It should be the other way around. I don't know why you're a $60 billion company buying material for another shop.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Now, maybe that's what they do, but that seems unlikely. I imagine, like...
I mean, I could believe it, I guess. It's not...
it's possible. It sounds
not
unimaginably...
Fantasy. It's not total fantasy, yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds unimaginably inefficient to be like, hey, we, the company that are asking for these chess pieces, we're sending you the pieces of wood for you to turn into them.
Yeah, to turn into, like, why?
Like, what? No,
I'd be like,
that's
yo,
not...
why are you doing that?
Yeah. It's possible, but I've not seen it in any industry that I've been near.
We used our warehouse to store...
It's like, yeah, just imagining, like, hey, extrusion plant or mold making plant, I need you to make all of these, this plastic molds. Here's all of the fucking plastic that we just bought this all. We're giving it, here you go. Use this.
Or finished blanks until they got ready for them later down the road. We were housing about $2 million worth of about until they got ready for them later down the road. We were housing about got ready for them later down the road. Also used our warehouse to store finished blanks until they got ready for them later down the road. We were...
Oh, and they also have a bunch of finished blanks, which just means why would you store wait, what the fuck? Why would you store cut stock? Just keep the stock in So what they just explained to her is you know that, like, the big, so imagine a massive, like, rod of steel.
Yeah.
It's sitting in their parking lot. What they did is they took that, cut it up, and then put it in their warehouse. And just left it like that until the future.
What are you doing? No.
Just take the raw stock and put it in your warehouse. Cut it as you need it. That's how fucking stock works.
We were housing about $2 million worth of their product and material.
Unless, of course, they have, like, these massive, unimaginably... No, but still, just keep the stuff. No, you have a saw. Just fucking... No, this is stupid.
Our facility, and the owner had been going...
This is stupid, and I'm done.
This is fucking
And for
stupid.
that reason, I'm out.
Back and forth with him, trying to get paid for the work that we had already done, but he really wasn't getting anywhere because to them, we were just tiny and insignificant.
We were just
but whenever
tiny
he
and
told them, you
insignificant.
know, if I took all of your material and all of your parts that I'm holding at my facility to the scrap yard, I bet I could get more than what you currently owe me. You better believe that got their attention, because that's when they realized...
You better believe. You know what they did that next morning? They grabbed a warrant and came in with their trucks and took all the material back because they own it. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Our plan got foiled. It turns out that you get sued for that. If another company that is contracting you stuff brings you their scrap material, it's not yours. You will get sued for destroying that scrap material. Or destroying that bar stock. What? This is so dumb.
that we could completely shut down one of their locations if we wanted to, and probably end up shutting them down for a good while because this was customer specific material and they wouldn't be able to replace it in a day or two. So they...
What does customer specific material mean? This shop is looking for a very specific flavor of 4140 steel. I don't know what they mean by specific material. Steel is 4140 is the brand of, you know, no one's like, what specific material is this fucking company? We want a very specific form of tungsten. Okay.
They started scrambling to set up a meeting with this guy, and they actually sent some big wigs from their corporate headquarters in an
Big wigs from their corporate headquarters. Did you hear that?
Oh,
attempt
big
to
wigs.
intimidate
That's a
him
man.
into backing down. In the meeting, they told him that
The
Also,
big wigs
I'm
were there
not
to
hearing it
intimidate them,
because,
as
like,
if that works.
they looked at
I'm
the
not
size
hearing
of
it
his
because
company.
every time you speak, I can't figure out which feed is the live version.
Oh
of
well, you can just mute me. You can mute me in Discord while I have this tirade. And you can
Oh, I
respond
could.
to me.
I'm not going to. I'm talking
Company
with you.
and the amount of work that they were giving him,
Relay.
and said,
It's,
"You can't afford."
I was gonna call him a redneck. That's so rude.
Fuck it.
I'm sure he's just
Fuck
a
this
guy.
guy. I mean, if you want, you can just pause it. I'm mostly telling you whatever the fuck.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
To lose a customer like us. You will go broke. And let me just
You
tell you
will
something
go
about this
broke.
guy. If there is one
Again, why is your customer sending you all of the fucking material ahead of time? You're the one who's supposed to be sourcing that.
thing that you absolutely do not do, that's tell this man that he cannot do something. He will make it his life's mission to prove you wrong and to succeed. And he won't
Oh,
be
yeah.
subtle about proving you wrong. He's going to make it spectacular. Of course, when these big wigs told him that, it made him furious. And he said, from now on, we are cutting all ties and we're not doing any more work for you. And you're going to pay us every dime of what you owe. And you're not going to get a single ounce of your material until you do. He said, I know you have lawyers on every corner, but I've got one too. And if it's a fight you want, then that's what you're going to get. This wasn't the first time he went toe to toe with a giant, and it definitely wasn't the last. I saw him do it several times, and not once did I see him lose. These guys just didn't know who they were messing with. So while their accounting office fumbled around and didn't pay him, their rent for storing material and finished parts was going up every month. And he wouldn't let them load the first truck until it was all paid in full. And then when they finally got him paid, he told him that our guys was loading the trucks and they could only show up between a certain time and only show up on sunny days. If it even looked like it was going to rain, don't even show up. It took several days to get all their product loaded, and after the last truck left, we didn't do any more work for that company. I was still very young in my career at this time, and I had never witnessed anything like that. And I have to admit, I was scared that those big wigs were going to be right and that we would go under, because at the time, they accounted for at least 50% of our workload. But now I look back and I remember something that the owner told me a few years after all that went down, whenever I took a new position that involved quoting work for customers. I kept worrying that I was too high and I wanted to cut every quote I made. But he told me, companies will let you go broke and starve if you let them. And I would rather watch my machines sit and do nothing than to wear them out doing work that is losing money. It took me a long time to understand what he meant by that. And I believe what he was saying was, don't let anyone intimidate you into sacrificing your dignity. You know what you are worth, so have the courage to stand
Okay, I don't give a fuck about your stupid grandstanding at the end of your really fake story. Maybe it's possible that a $60 billion company couldn't afford to store their materials somewhere else. I don't know why the fuck they're buying the material in the first place, actually. But, okay.
I mean, maybe it's just me. I doubt it's fake, but I would believe that maybe he's gussying it up a little bit.
I mean, maybe
It
the
does-
general
it
of
does-
this.
I don't.
Well, I think the only part that's real is the ending part where he says to make sure that you stand up for yourself. I think that's the point of the video, and I think that's the only point that's real. Is like, hey, just don't get intimidated by like customers and blah 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 blah, because that's like true and that's like useful. I think everything else is fake about that story.
You're much closer to the industry, so you would know if it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just like I don't know why the fuck you'd make up a whole thing about that, but
Like, here's an example of like, so like we have. So
because I wouldn't fucking do that. It sounds like
yeah,
a huge waste of
even
time.
the machines we make at my work that we do for other customers, if they want to make parts off of the machines that are in our shop still, they will send us their stock that they use when they make the parts at their factory. We don't buy any of the shit they make, but we have a shop, and that shop, when we make parts, it buys its own stock. So it's not like if we have a machine that we're making for a customer at our work, we will get whatever goes in that machine. Let's say it's whatever, like it's punching fucking stamps, whatever it's doing. We don't buy the stamps. The customer comes in with or sends us a stack of stamps that they buy because they're the ones sourcing. That's the thing that they want. So they just send us a truck over and they go, hey, just run your machine and test it on these. But like none of the stuff, like any of the material that goes on the machine, like any of the stuff that we're machining is from our machine. The customer that is buying the machine off of us isn't also sending us steel to make the machine out of, because it's not up to them. First, it's not up to them because we're the ones who designed it. But B, if it was up to them, you still wouldn't send us stock.
It doesn't really seem like it's their job specifically.
Yeah, I'm Google. I need or whatever. I am fuck, what would be a good example of this? It's hard to even find a good example of this because like people just source stuff from
it's like me giving the trees to the toilet paper factory.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I'm literally just here to buy toilet paper, bro.
No, it's like your Walmart and you're like, hey, toilet paper factory, I need toilet paper made. Here's a bunch of trees.
It's like, no, dude, what? This is not what you're here to do.
I mean, what? I already have a bunch of.
They're like, no, I need toilet paper. What? Why do you think I'd have so many trees? Isn't that your job? To find the trees and cut them down? They're like, no, actually. Normally.
No, you're supposed to buy our scrap for. You're supposed to buy our stock for us. Yeah, it's like a paper. Yeah, paper mill. Somebody. Yeah, that's actually the best example.
Newspaper companies.
You know, Google is like, hey, we need a bunch of paper, and they go to the paper mill and they're like, hey, paper mill, we need a bunch of paper. Here's a fucking tree. Here's a bunch of trees. We're just gonna stick this in your parking lot. Good luck.
Oh, I forgot to do the thing.
Oh, and then the paper mill cut up the tree into like smaller logs and then stored it in their factory for like years for no reason. What am I doing here? Oh, I want to find the serpent sword.